Welcome back to BaldHeaded Metal, guys, and we got another POWERWOLF reaction. I'm going to be introducing my brother to this band today, and the reason I picked this one is because of Hansi and how much we love Blind Guardian. It's going to be interesting to see them working together. I got to be honest, too. POWERWOLF is one of those power metal bands that they have such a grand feeling about them. I don't always like the music, but I always appreciate their grand kind of like approach to their concerts, performances, and just overall demeanor.
Small correction. So there's bands that I listen to, like I would have one album or, you know, what have you, go to YouTube, go through the entire discography, and I circle back to them. I leave them because sometimes they don't grab me. I return to them. Long story short, POWERWOLF is one of those bands. I've heard of them because I constantly go on my quest to find new power metal bands that I really enjoy, something new to discover. And this was one of the bands that I always seem to circle back to. I haven't given my due attention to this band yet. Let's hear what's happening in the song. If it'll be finally break that through and be like, hey, Benjamin, you need to become a POWERWOLF fan.
It is to be said, you guys know on this channel that I am that guy who loves black metal, death metal, thrash metal. My brother loves all those things too, but he's actually a big power metal fan.
I love power metal, man. Since like the early 90s, since I heard Sabotage, the doors to a new window into metal has been opened. So huge Sabotage fan. Let's go.
Let's see how the collaboration is going to work. I like how Hansi sounds in the song.
Well, Hansi Kürsch is Hansi Kürsch. It's undeniable. It's a little bit, I think, for me personally, power metal subgenre is the hardest to find the bands to focus my attention on because there's so many greats. There's so many bands out there, whether a neoclassically trained kind of like performers who like go crazy with their guitar work or very catchy and memorable themes. What is happening here? Sometimes it's hard to pick one. This is one of those songs. It's like, oh man, all right. It doesn't quite reach the absolute height where it's like, okay, this sounds unlike anything I've heard before. I'm going head and heels over for POWERWOLF. Like it seems to be on the border of like, this is interesting and cool, but I've heard something like this before.
Like it's a classic staple power metal.
Yeah, that's a great word. It's a staple power metal song. It has everything in it that you would want for like catchy melodies, great vocals, stuff like that.
I think also people really appreciate their performances. They put on these really intricate, big performances, especially during COVID.
Right.
They did this whole live stream thing that was really cool. Nice. I'll show you some stuff.
Nice.
Rest in
I like that solo. You know, I feel like it's one of those songs. You know, I'm not a big fan of this kind of stuff. If it doesn't have some power chords in there, I'm usually not sold.
You're more on the thrasher sound of power metal.
But there's some power chord, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And that's like with POWERWOLF, every time I came away from it, it was always the same. It's like, well, I think this has a lot of merit. This has a lot of skill. There's a lot of things going on. Whether it's the staple sound or not, there's things there. It's not, as we commented in some other bands we reacted to this past week, it's not this kind of nothing going on there. It just doesn't cut above the average.
Yeah.
I think it is above average power metal band, but it just I like power chords. I like bombastic sound.
Right,
I like this rawness to heavy in there, and they're not about that. That's not what POWERWOLF is about.
Yeah. Like my power metal listening sessions are literally hours long. I would possibly pop them on YouTube because you can listen to full albums for free as I do my graphic design, and it actually hyper focuses your attention on the song itself as you're visually you're working on graphic design. And this would not be the song to say this is the one. It's always, you would listen for hours upon hours of power metal, and in that midst of that sea of like-sounding songs, you find just the right ones. Like, hold on a second, I gotta look up the name of the song and the artist. I need to listen to more of this. It takes hours before you find that one song. This song would like easily just get lost in the sea of other cool, interesting sounding songs out there that just doesn't necessarily instantly draw my attention.
So what do you think it is about bands like POWERWOLF, bands like Hammerfall,
Right,
which are similar in style, where they have this huge following, and there's so many people love them?
I have a theory about that.
And like for some reason, we as fans, by all merits, right, the way people describe and talk about them, we should be in love with this band.
Yeah.
And for some reason, it just goes over our head.
I have a theory about this, actually. And it's not to sound like, old grumpy Benjamin, like, kids, let me tell you about metal. It's none of that, guys. But honestly, when you hear the top dogs of power metal, like Symphony X, Sabotage, Blind Guardian, Iced Earth, before whatever happened to Iced Earth, we're not sure what happened there. But when you listen to those, and you come back to this, again, this is decent quality song. It's well crafted, it's well structured, it has the legendary Hansi Kürsch in it. But I would suspect that majority of crowds that come to it are sort of, and again, it's not to be disrespectful anyway, guys, but neophytes. Guys who are like just discovering the sound of the genre, like, oh my god, this.
I'm gonna correct you. This band has been around basically.
No, I get that.
No, just so you understand.
Yeah.
This band has been around since the beginning.
Right.
Power metal.
I get it.
Just so you know, keep listening. Hammerfall and POWERWOLF have been topping charts more than the bands that you've mentioned.
Right.
So just so you understand,
right,
these bands are on a scale of heavy metal
legends.
Kind of success.
Yeah.
They're legends.
I get it. But for me personally, that's not a metric that I go by. Like, I understand the whole popularity. There's an argument to be made for what's popular and what's genre defining. And again, it's just a thought of one guy, one metal fan. I suspect that a lot of attention that it brings to people like, hey, hold on a second. I haven't heard a lot of sound, a lot of melodies, a lot of music in general that sounds like this. This is curious to me. This is interesting. And I could easily see why this particular song merits all the attention. I get it. Yeah. But once again, when you're exposed to hours upon hours upon hours of power metal for decades, then you get a little bit more discriminating. You're like, you know what, this kind of, like, for example, I'm looking for a power metal song that has the bombastic feel or, blast beats with the drumming and something, or extravagant, soloing. This song is just a nice, neat little package that anybody could get into. That's why I get it, why it's so popular.
You notice, because I've heard a lot of criticism coming my way whenever I'll talk about Iced Earth, where people call them boring, for example. That's their opinion and where they come from.
Right. And guys, it's never about who's right or who's wrong. It's just comparing notes.
Just comparing notes.
Yeah.
I know why I don't like this, for example.
Yeah.
I can pinpoint is because I've never liked this style of power metal. I've always appreciated it, and you would put it on, you would listen to it, and you would have fun with it. And I would be there in the room kind of like, oh, this is cool. This is actually why I had a hard time getting into Blind Guardian, because I didn't jump in with the right albums. Once I jumped into the Nightfall of Middle Earth and the kind of older albums, and I heard their insane guitar work, I was like, oh, okay, this is for me.
Right.
But let's keep going. Let's finish it out.
Sure. Even that ending, when I get to it, I was waiting for that rising tempo, like all the things that happen in the end of the song, and it's to be so expected and so familiar. But I think at the end of the day, what pulls me into the song, and it's something that's not quantifiable, this is a good melody. I could compare it to other good melody, but for some reason, one good melody has me swooning over it like a little girl, like, oh my God. And another one, for some reason, is just not happening. And it's not something that you could put a finger to and say, well, this song is probably bad, that's why. Another one is good. It's not a matter of that. This is where personal criteria and taste comes into play. It's just something that connects with you. You and I will always clash about the song. It's like, Ben, are we listening to the same song? Yeah. I'm having a blast with them. I'm like, Joe, I recognize the song is good. Just like in this case, it's a good, well-crafted song. It's just not happening.
Yeah. It's at the end of the day, our experiences, life experiences, the exposure to things that we've had will influence what we like, what we dislike.
Yeah, and it's fine. Again, it's perfectly fine to talk about personal taste and not bring a band down just because you don't like it.
Then question another one. I've also seen this from fans when we talk about different bands. But then for some fans, it's the whole package. It's their visual look. It is their lyrics. It is their performances. It is sometimes even who they are as a person that defines the reason why they love a band. I suspect you're a little bit different. I think you're music only. Like, for the me, music and vocals, if you don't like that, you don't care how good the performance is.
To me, words are cheap. Words mean nothing. What communicates to your soul, if you will, or to your subconscious, if you want, it's music itself. It's a language of itself, and you're either pulled into it, and a lot of it depends on just how your mental makeup is. A lot of it has nothing to do with the quality of the song or the skillfulness of the performers. They could be like all over the place, like amazing performers, but it doesn't work for you.
Yeah, I think that's understandable.
Yeah,
I would love to hear from fans of POWERWOLF. Then we talked about the things we liked and disliked. I want to give the floor to you guys to express yourselves in the reasons that POWERWOLF has kind of captured your hearts and captured your minds, and you've been following them so much.
And I would love to hear, guys, in your library of power metal bands that you listen to, how does it stack up? Let's compare it a little bit. Like, what other bands would you consider on your top 10 list that take the absolute best? Are we talking about Candlemass, Memento Mori, Symphony X, Sabotage? Oh my God, there's so many bands I want to think of.
Jack Panzer.
Jack Panzer. Regardless what it is, we just have like an inside family joke about Jack Panzer. But there's one song we always put on, it's like Chain of Command. Constantly put that song on. But let us know where this stacks up. Do you prefer this over other bands? And tell us why.
And guys, you know how I love to end the videos. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Chain of Command.
Chain of Command. Keep it metal, guys.